Right now, on we go. The next guest this afternoon is a gentleman who he was a railway porter down in Glasgow Central Railway Station. Now, he gave up that job last month to come up to Portsoy, and he stupidly thought the railway was still open here. Would you please welcome our railway porter, Mr. William McGee.
There's a special offer just now in the British Rail, and that is you can get a special ticket for £10, and that's travelling the whole of Scotland and England. And you get your breakfast in Aberdeen, you get your lunch in Perth, and you get your dinner in Newcastle, and your luggage in Birmingham. All these different trains now, the LNER and GHR and everything else, and the Virgin trains. I wouldn't go in them because they don't go all the way. But there's a lady came up to me the other morning, she said, "Excuse me, Porter, is there a ladies' waiting room in the station?" I said, "No, but there's a room for ladies who can't wait." This American came up to me and said, "Gee, Porter," he said, "the railway gates are half open and they're half shut. What's the idea for that?" I says, "Because we're half expecting a train." But these Americans, they're the same thing, because America's a big country, they're the same over here. And the Americans came off the train and put Lockery there, and he says, "Gee," he said, "your train's awful slow." He said, "Oh gee, coming down from Inverness there, it was so slow, it was going so slow, I jumped off and picked my wife a bunch of flowers and jumped on again and managed to keep up with the train." I says, "You haven't been on the train from here to Forfar." I says, "That's a fast journey from here to Forfar." I says, "When you're on that journey from here to Forfar, you pass a field of barley, you pass a field of carrots, and you pass a field of tatties, of potatoes, and you pass a field of cabbages. But you're going that fast, it just looks like a plate of roast." But you get all the tourists there, and there was a couple on the seat in the platform the other morning there, in their on their honeymoon, he must have had dandruff and Technicolor. And they're sitting there, and the station cat, a very friendly beast, Tilly is his name, and it was sitting licking away his paw. And the young fella had a bit of a hesitation in his speech, and he stuttered as well. And he turned to the young lady and he said, "How would you like to go blah, 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 blah." And all this time the cat kept licking away his paw, just licking away his paw. Eventually he managed to get out what he was trying to say. He says, "How would you like to go blah, 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 able to do what the cat's doing?" And she bashed him over the head with her handbag. You see, by this time the cat wasn't licking his paw. Licking his tail. And the other porter, he has the sister of that cat, and he's not very good to it. And every night when he's been in the pub and he comes home, a few sherbets, he takes his bag of soup to the cat, and he battered it all around the house one night, and he threw it under the bed, and he picked it up on the other side, and threw it in again. And his wife picked the cat up eventually and said, "Never you mind, pussy. When he dies, I'll have him cremated, and I'll put his ashes in your litter box." No like getting your own back. There we are. But, you know, I went to pictures one night. The wife and I went to pictures, and it was a film with Samantha Fox. And she was going into this pool of water, swimming pool, and she was stripping off anyway. And just as she was down in the last articles of clothing, a train rushes past, and then you just see Samantha Fox up to her neck in the water. So this guy who's sitting beside me, he says to me, "You know, this is ridiculous." I says, "How do you mean it's ridiculous?" He says, "Well," he says, "I've been here every night this week. 6 nights," he says, "I've been here, and that train's never been late yet." But there was a guy who came for the job at the signal box, and they said to him, "Now, we'll have to ask you a few questions first of all." He said, "So, we'd ask what you would do in panic or anything else." He said, "What would you do if there was 2 trains on the same line?" He said, "Well, I would pull a lever and shift the points." He said, "Yeah, but what if the lever was broken? You couldn't pull it." He says, "Well, I would get a flag and a whistle, and I would run up the train towards the train and stop them." He says, "No, but if you couldn't get a flag and you couldn't get a whistle, what are you going to do?" He says, "Well, I would get some of these barriers," he said, "and put them on the line, run up and put them on the line before the car, the train came down, and it would stop the train." "No," he says, "if you hadn't any barriers, what would you do?" He says, "Well, I would send for my brother-in-law." He says, "What good would he do?" He says, "Well, he's never seen a train crash." You know, you get them all coming in there, and this one day this lady said to me, "Excuse me, porter, but the trains are ridiculous. It's going so slow. This train is unbelievable." And I said, "Well, there's nothing I can do about it. You have to have a word with the driver." She says, "No, but you realise I'm expecting a happy event." I says, "Well, you had no business coming on the train in that condition." She says, "I wasn't." There's three drunks came staggering into the station the other day there, and I managed to get 2 of them on the train rather. The 2 of them on the train, but I couldn't get the 3rd one on, and I said, the train took off, and I said, "I'm sorry, sir, you'll have to wait for the next train." Oh, he says, "Don't worry about that, they just came to see me off." There were three gentlemen on the train one night, and the first one stood up and said, I would just like to let you know that I'm a brigadier. I have been married, I have 3 sons, they're all chartered accountants." And he sat down. The second one stood up and says, "Well, gentlemen, this is called to see you. I'm a brigadier as well. I've been married, I have 3 sons, and they're all doctors." He sat down. The third one stood up to generals, for instance. Called calls the and Brigadier as well. Happily married, have 3 sons, and they're all dentists. He sat down. The fourth one stood up and said, well, I'm a sergeant major. I'm not married, I have 3 sons, and they're all brigadiers. So there we are. But we handle a lot of whiskey nowadays with the trains and that. The wagons were filling up the barrels. It's cheaper going by train than going by CLVs and all that kind of things that they have nowadays. It cost a fortune. So we'll tell you all about this wee song. Here's the Scottish whiskey. And if you want to join in the chorus, please feel free. It goes a wee bit like this. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, but you know, that's the wrong thing. This is what I'm looking for. Is this watch? Now, there's a very sad story about this watch because you see, my brother's got a sheep farm up in Wick, and I was up there giving him a hand to dip some sheep, and we put this big tube or tub into the sheep dip, and you know, my watch came falling in my pocket and went in among the sheep dip. And you know this, when I took it again, it had lost all the tips. Takes a wee while, that one, but anyway. It's back to the Gary Glen, ladies and gentlemen, alias Smith and Jones here, and I'm going to play some more beautiful tunes for you. The first one is called Mary Had a Little Lamb. She tied it to a pylon. 30,000 volts went up its back and turned its wool to nylon. Put your hands together. But once again, the Gary Blend. Here we go.
We are much indeed to our station master, our rail porter, Ollie. Give me a nice big hand again. Thank you very much. Thank you. Right now, folks, we're going to go over to the play.